Let's dive right in, shall we? Welcome to this explainer. Today we're tackling something that is literally the foundation of human existence, nutrition. But we're not just going to rattle off a list of vitamins like you'd see on the back of a cereal box. Instead, we're exploring a massive chain reaction. We'll see exactly how the food on your very own plate connects straight to some pretty devastating diseases. And then, how those diseases trigger massive public health initiatives on a global scale. It's an absolutely fascinating domino effect.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the nutrition foundation, move on to the cost of deficiency, then look at treating nutritional diseases, check out public health and prevention, and finally wrap up with the pharmacist's vital role.
But before we really get going, I want you to think about this. Can you actually link basic nutrition to public health action? It sounds simple enough, right? But if we just memorize a list of vitamins, we're totally missing the big picture. To really get this, we need to build a clear structure connecting basic biology all the way up to societal action. So let's start building.
Section 1. The Nutrition Foundation, building the blocks of health. Because, every strong chain starts with a solid first link.
Take a look at this definition of a balanced diet. A diet providing all essential nutrients in adequate amounts and proper proportions to maintain health, growth, and normal body functions. I really want you to notice the nuance here. It's not just about what we eat, it's a precision game. Adequate amounts and proper proportions are the magic words. You could be eating super healthy foods all day long, but if the proportions are out of whack, your body just can't maintain its normal functions. It's this beautiful, intricate biological balancing act.
To pull off that balancing act, we rely on 6 essential components, and each has a highly specific job. Carbohydrates, they're your primary energy source. Proteins act like the bricks and mortar for building and repairing tissue. Fats give us concentrated energy and, crucially, help us absorb vitamins. Then, vitamins step in to do the regulating, keeping everything running smoothly. Minerals handle the structural and metabolic heavy lifting. Think calcium for bones or iron for blood. And finally, water. Water is the great stabilizer. It's the ultimate bodily coolant, maintaining homeostasis, which is that perfect internal equilibrium our bodies are constantly fighting to keep. If you remove even one of these, the whole system gets shaky.
Which brings us to Section 2, the cost of deficiency, when the chain breaks. So, what exactly happens when that delicate homeostasis is disrupted? Well, when the foundation cracks, we run into deficiency disorders. These are diseases that occur due to a lack of one or more essential nutrients in the diet. And I really want to emphasize that phrase, one or more. You don't have to be starving to develop a severe disease. Actually, your daily calorie intake could be perfectly fine, but missing just one specific microscopic nutrient, that can lead to an absolute physiological breakdown. This is a really stark one-to-one cause and effect. Drop vitamin A from your diet and you risk night blindness. Strip away vitamin D and bones start to soften, leading to rickets. Remove vitamin C and you get scurvy, the infamous pirate's disease that wiped out sailors for centuries simply because they didn't have fresh citrus. No iron directly leads to anemia. A lack of iodine causes a goiter, which is a severe swelling of the thyroid gland, and a severe lack of protein leads to Kwashiorkor. It's a sobering reminder that our bodies are essentially complex biochemical machines. If you withhold a specific raw material, a highly specific failure happens right there on the assembly line.
Section 3, treating nutritional diseases, fixing the break. So how exactly do we repair that assembly line once it's broken?
Well, healthcare professionals don't just guess when treating these issues. They follow a highly structured 4-tier action plan. Dietary modification, supplementation, fortification, and finally, treatment of underlying causes. Let's break these down and see how they actually work in the real world. Okay, step 1 is dietary modification, which is arguably the most natural fix. We try to seamlessly weave nutrient-rich foods right back into the patient's routine. Need iron and folate? We prescribe leafy greens. Need calcium and vitamin D? Drink more milk. Missing general vitamins? Eat more fruit. But when diet alone just isn't fast enough, or if the deficiency is super severe, we escalate to step 2, supplementation. This is direct intervention. We're talking about highly concentrated doses like iron and folic acid tablets, vitamin A capsules, or dedicated calcium and vitamin D supplements. The goal here is to literally flood the body with exactly what it's missing so we can restore balance as quickly as possible. Step 3 is fortification. Honestly, this is quite clever. It means taking everyday foods that everyone already eats and injecting them with nutrients. Think iodized salt or fortified cereals and milk. But step 4 is where things get really fascinating. Treatment of underlying causes.
See, sometimes a patient is eating a perfectly balanced diet, but there's a biological thief stealing the nutrients. Parasites, for example. Deworming is incredibly important because it drastically improves nutrient absorption. If we don't manage malabsorption disorders or clear out those parasites, all the healthy food and fancy supplements in the world won't make a dent. We absolutely have to fix the leak before we try to refill the bucket.
Section 4. Public Health and Prevention. Safeguarding the Future.
So let's zoom out. How does society prevent these breakages on a massive scale? There are 5 broad prevention strategies we use at a population level. We encourage balanced diet intake and push nutrition education so people actually know what a healthy habit looks like in the first place. We use food fortification, which we just touched on, and we implement large public health programs. But that 5th point, hygiene and sanitation, that is absolutely critical. Why does this matter for nutrition? Well, because of what we just learned. Poor hygiene leads to infections and parasites, and infections reduce nutrient absorption. So investing in clean water and good sanitation isn't just about preventing stomach bugs. It's a direct, vital strategy for preventing widespread nutritional deficiency. To put these strategies into action, governments deploy specific public health programs. These are the ultimate structural interventions. For instance, midday meal schemes. These ensure that growing children get at least one highly nutritious meal a day while they're at school. Vitamin A prophylaxis programs distribute high doses of vitamin A to vulnerable kids to prevent that tragic night blindness we covered earlier. And widespread iron and folic acid supplementation programs actively combat population-level anemia. This right here is public health in action. It's taking the strict science of a balanced diet and scaling it way up to protect millions of people. Section 5. The pharmacist's vital role, holding the line. Up to now, we've talked about microscopic biological processes and giant government programs. But right in the middle of all of that sits the community pharmacist. They are the star players on the front lines of public health. They're the accessible human element, bridging the gap between global health strategies and your local neighborhood. So what exactly does their toolkit look like? Well, community pharmacists actively educate people on what a balanced diet actually is. And when diet isn't enough, they recommend the appropriate safe supplements. Because they see their patients regularly, they're often the very first healthcare professionals to spot those early, subtle signs of nutritional deficiencies way before they become severe. And crucially, they support and distribute those massive government nutrition programs we just unpacked. They truly are the local distributors of public health. Which brings us to the core takeaway from our source material today. It's a quote that brilliantly summarizes everything we've covered so far. Early treatment, proper nutrition, and community awareness are key. This isn't just a tidy little wrap-up, it's the exact recipe required to maintain overall health across an entire population. It demands the right food, swift medical intervention when things go sideways, and a community that completely understands how all these pieces connect. So we've successfully traced the entire chain reaction, from a single missing vitamin in the body to national fortification programs, straight to the pharmacist down the street. I want to leave you with a final, thought-provoking question to chew on. How does your local community support nutrition? Seriously, think about it. Are there fortified foods in your local grocery store? Are there school meal programs in your town? I promise, once you start looking for it, you'll see the science of public nutrition playing out all around you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking for those connections.